Hello, and welcome back to another Anthurium Papa video. I am Anthurium Papa. Papa to the Anthuriums. No, I did not create all the Anthuriums, but I'm going to show you fun ways to care for them and some effective ways to care for them. So, what are we doing back here? You know, that's always my question. What are we doing? That's always your question. We share this. So what are we doing here? Seedling care. Tiny seedling though. This is germinated seedling care. So we covered seedling care. This is probably going to be your 2 to 3 leafer, but this is going to be germinated seedling care. What is germinated seedling? What is the supplies? What are the requirements? These are all things that I'm going to talk about today. So first things first, what's a germinated seed in the first place? So when a Anthurium produces seedlings, they are going to produce a bunch of small little white babies, and we're going to get close and I'm going to show you one and show you how to deal with one, all that fun stuff. But for right now, I'm just going to tell you what germinated means. So basically, when you have a seed batch, you clean them up, you're going to place them on your tree fern, and they're going to wait there. They're going to slowly decide if they want to live or if they just want to just kind of sit there and just chill. Ideally, we want them to live and germinate. So when they're germinating, they get this really cool fuzz on them, and then a root starts forming, and then a little like almost looks like the first leaf blade will start forming. It'll start just poking out a little bit. That's your first indications that, all right, my baby is germinating. My little seed is germinating. So that is first early indications of what germination is, that what it's doing when it's doing. That's called germination. So ideally, we want that to keep on trucking and turn into a huge, beautiful, large, mature individual. So if we keep on trucking, we keep on following the things that I say, we can definitely get there. So as I always say, this is how I do things. Of course, there are multiple different avenues, multiple different directions on how to do it. But for myself, this is the most successful, most cost-effective, and most environmentally friendly all in all. So let's do it. Let's break it down. We are going to talk about supplies, requirements to grow supplies, requirements environment-wise to grow these babies. And overall, just to, yes, handle them with care, but know that they are quite resilient. And I'll show you, how I handle them, how I get them potted up, all that fun stuff. So first things first, we're going to talk about supplies. Some of the supplies I like having on hand is some sort of humidity bin, some sort of receptacle that's going to keep humidity. Now, everything that I use, you can actually find on my Instagram links. I do put the links down below here in the description as well. It is my link tree. Just takes you to all the items that I use. You don't necessarily need to purchase from there. It just gets everything organized in one spot. So when you want to know things that I use, you can reference it immediately. And if you ever have any questions, feel free to reach out further from there. I got you. But the bin that I use predominantly is a 1020 tray with a plastic top. So I've shown these in prior videos. This is what I like to use. It is a 1020 tray, separate lid. They link together beautifully. I keep my vents wide open. That keeps that humidity range that I'm looking for. Keep those wide open. Bada bing, bada boom. I love them. They work quite well. I can keep multiple seedlings all lined up in this guy. Furthermore, if I am actually working with a bunch of seedlings, sometimes I'll use these trays or even smaller like takeout containers. That was another container I want to show you. So let's get that one. So this is, as I said, for a situation if you have a whole handful of seedlings and you don't necessarily want to pot them all up into their own individual pots. You can do takeout trays. Takeout trays are actually quite nice because you can hold, a collection of 20, 30 seedlings in there and just have them grow out in their own little environment. So there's salad containers, regular takeout containers, all kinds of fun different colors. The main thing we're looking for is a nice seal on the top, a nice clear top, and that's about it. Good amount of space. You can see I've used varying sizes, but this is for smaller batches. Maybe you have 5, 10, maybe you bought a bunch from somebody and you just kind of want to germinate them all in one area, one controlled environment. That is a perfect way to do it. So containers, love them. Always good to keep on hand. I know we already have a stack of pots on hand. Why not add a bunch of containers on hand as well? I know, but they help, trust. Next is fertilizer. As you know, we just did the water video, so you know exactly what fertilizer that I use. The only differentiation that I require on this one is using the 1/8 strength. So that's 3 leaves and below, I'm using 1/8 strength, what it says on the actual packaging. So it's very light. It's a very light feeding. As you know, the cycle is going to be pretty prolonged because we have a pretty high humidity within that container. So we don't need to water as much, so we're not gonna be feeding as much on those cycles. It's important to really pull back for the seedlings as well. Even germinated seedlings, yes, I am feeding at 1/8 strength germinated seedlings. I found that it is very beneficial to them, and I still do the once a month inoculation of myco as well. So definitely check out my water video if you haven't already. That's going to let you know exactly how I treat my water, make it as simple as possible, make it as accessible as possible. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. Next, lighting. Of course, our babies are gonna need lighting. What lighting do I use? I personally use a T5. That style, that brightness, that intensity is perfect for anthuriums. I use Barina. It doesn't really matter what brand. There are several brands that I link to on my Amazon, but what I predominantly use is the Barina ones. Also, I use microgreen lights. That's what is predominantly lighting me up right now, is the tube microgreen single LED stripe. Actually, 2 LED stripe. Not very bright, not very intense. It's a ballasted system that spreads 200 watts over several bulbs, so it's not a ton of power, but it's perfect for anthuriums because they don't need intense light, they just need light. T5s are predominantly what I like to use. The intensity is perfect, the brightness is perfect. Light, color, all that stuff doesn't really matter. It's more of a personal preference thing. Personally, I do like more of a natural light, a white light. No yellows, no pinks, no purples. I find that this creates a false darkness when taking pictures, and I do like to take pictures of my babies, and I like to show people to the eye what they're looking like to my eye. So exactly what you're seeing in the video and exactly what you're seeing on your eye is what I shoot for to show on my Instagram. So that's what I suggest. By all means, if you have a living room set up, maybe a light pink that's offered is quite nice. Full-on purple can be a little intense in your living room, but the light pink I have found that is quite nice in the living room when you don't want the full white, or yellow light. Again, personal preference, what's pleasing to your eye in a living room scenario when you want your babies out and about. As I said, that is our goal, to get them in ambient. It may be pertinent to you to choose a color of your liking, but just know it doesn't make your babies grow better having one particular color. It's always good to know. I know I get a lot of questions about, oh, what does color mean? What color should I get? It is more for the cannabis industry where these different wavelengths really make a big difference, or these different crops that actually make a difference. Anthurium foliage doesn't really benefit too much from these different colors of lights that are offered on the market. So again, whatever you choose, personal preference. So the next area I want to talk about is requirements. So we've covered the specific supplies. Now let's cover the requirements that these supplies fall within, of course. So humidity that these bins need to keep is about 85 to 95% humidity. As I've said before, I keep these small thermometers inside a humidity bin, especially the larger 1020 ones. These are perfect. I'll keep it in there for a couple days just to kind of get a good idea. Even extended, they work pretty well. I just find that they can, in waterings, if you're not taking them out during a watering, you can actually mess them up. So it's ideal, take it out during the watering and then you can put it right back in. It's my best suggestion. So for those guys, 85 to 90% humidity. We don't want a full locked in bin, as in closing off the vents completely. When we're using tree fern, you will start developing mold on top of the tree fern. We don't want that. So 85, 90% humidity is perfect for those little seedlings. That's gonna give them a really nice environment. Light, as I said, T5s, I'm looking for 8 to 12 inches away for my anthuriums. In general, that is kind of what I'm doing for all my anthuriums. 8 to 12 inches can be pretty intense for a seedling, but I like to really get them going very quickly. The only thing you're gonna see difference-wise when they're very, very young is when you're feeding them that much light, they tend to be a bit lighter. But as long as we're not seeing any actual damage, you know, from overwatering, underwatering, things like that, a lighter leaf is not a bad leaf. It's just it reacting. It's like, okay, I've got more than enough light, I'm gonna lighten up. I'm gonna lighten up. I don't need to be so dark. But when they get older, they're really gonna take advantage of that 8 to 12 inches away from the light. They're gonna start darkening up, usually within their 6th, 7th leaf. They start showing the characteristics. They start getting very dark. They start really being able to utilize that light properly. So don't be afraid, 8 to 12 inches within that range. If you do have any questions, like I said, I am always here to help. I'm always here to give my opinion, all that fun stuff. So cycle wise, I do a 12-hour cycle. Sometimes I think I have this room actually on like a 13 or 14-hour cycle. I don't know why, but most growers are 12-hour cycle because our babies grow on the equator. It's 12 hours year round. So it's always gonna be 12 hours on, 12 hours off, 12 hours on, 12 hours off. So that's what they're used to. So that's what we shoot for in our environments. For the extra 2 hours, I always think maybe they get a little bit of extra food. You know, that can't hurt. That can't hurt. I don't know. Weirdness. It's weird Papa weirdness. I don't know. Fertilizer, as I said, 1/8 strength. And mycorrhiza. Once a month I'm doing the myco. Every watering I am doing the 1/8 strength. As I said, the draw out, the cycle of that watering is going to be much more drawn out, so we don't have to worry about feeding as heavy, especially with a smaller baby. We don't want to feed as heavy. Again, under 3 leaves is 1/8 strength. Over 3 leaves is going to be 1/4 strength, as I said in my water video. Check it out if you haven't seen it. So once we've got over those 6 to 7 leaves, you're gonna notice that it's pushing the edges of the bin there, the 1020 bin. It's probably long pushed its way out of that one. So for these ones, when I hit the edge of these ones, I'm usually just potting them up in my 3.5 inch pot. So you do have to move them a little quicker out of these. But that's okay, it's a great place to start for multiple seedlings. But ideally what we're gonna aim for, and I'm gonna jump down in here and show you how I deal with the seedlings. Ideally what we're aiming for is to have the 3.5 inch pot in the 1020 tray, so it gives you plenty of height. Once we hit that 6 to 7 leaves, we're going to be doing the transfer into ambient conditions, and guess what? That is the next video. After the next botanical video, we're gonna do a next botanical coverage video. It's gonna be a fun one. It's gonna be a fun one though. So let's jump down. Let's show you how to actually deal with the seedling, how to plant it up properly, how to get it set up for its environment, so that way it's rocking and rolling. You guys ready? Let's jump down. It is okay, it is okay. They are quite resilient. What I like to do is, as I said, this is the size that I typically like to purchase them at, with the little root on the bottom. And I do like to wear gloves. If I didn't already mention that before, I like to wear gloves, so that way we're not introducing any extra microbes from your hands or anything extra nastiness to the seedlings. We want to prevent that. So what I do with these guys is, what I like to do is get a paintbrush, go for the direct center, and I'll look for the length of that root. You can see it's not long at all. So I'll just make a tiny little divot in there, very, very shallow divot. And I'm going to very lightly, I'm going to point that root down, and I'm going to place it root down just right on top of that soil. I may even made that trench just a little bit, so I'm going to push that soil out just a little bit, may even remove some just to make it easier. Beautiful, even easier. So by the end of that, what I have is that seed sitting on top with the root pointed down. You can see it's sitting up top, it's sitting proud on top. Proud just meaning it's sticking out, not like it's sticking its little chest out. But it is sticking its little chest out. So after this, what I would do is give it a good water through. Make sure we get a couple drops coming out of the bottom, so that way we get good saturation. And then I move it into my 1020 tray environment, 85 to 90% humidity, and we're good to go. That's all. You sit and wait. At this point, just gonna start making leaf blades for you, one after the other. It's gonna start making these beautiful roots, gonna start making that first leaf blade. Before you know it, you're gonna see long, beautiful leaves sticking out. And it's gonna be 1, and then 2, and then 3, and then 4, and then 5, and then before you know it, you have a whole baby. 5 to 6 leaves we're transferring into ambient. And guess what video is next? Ambient care, y'all. All right, let's get back up top. Alrighty, Talking Hands Papa back with you. I have got a nice little collection and a nice little breakdown. I'm gonna show you exactly how I pot up individuals and kind of generally how I do my stratification or my layers to get a seedling really off and going beautifully. So first things first, I wanted to show you kind of the differentiation in seedling sizes, in germinated seed, what have you. So let me make sure we get a good focus there. There we go. So, perfect. So the first one you see there, the smallest one is an ungerminated seed. You can see it's white. It's not fuzzy at all. Ideally, we don't really want to buy seeds of that size because we don't know if they're viable quite yet. If you do buy them, just make sure you're getting a good discount because it's not guaranteed that they're germinated quite yet. The next one that you see, that's a germinated seed. You can see that first little nub pointing out the bottom there. It's green, it's kind of fuzzy. It's a really good indication that it started germinating, starting to go. Third one, all right, we can see there's a root there. Ideally, that's where that's the size I'd like to buy my seeds, my tiny guys like that. Any smaller, and like I said, you're getting kind of risky. Next one, you can see on the end there, full root, and you can actually see a leaf blade forming. So that's pretty cool. So that's all of them. I just want to show you, kind of differentiate sizing for you, just so that way you know what you're dealing with. Let's show you how to pot them up. Let's show you how I do the order of all that fun stuff. So, like I said, when I'm potting up my babies, I like to use a 3.5 inch pot. Gives plenty of room to grow down, plenty of room to rock and roll. As I showed you in the regular like 3-leaf seedling video, these are just great pots to pretty much grow for the long-term cycle of the Anthurium, even when they're about to be transferred out into ambient. So, as I said, we're gonna do a nice layer about 1 inch on the bottom there of the size 2 perlite. I have linked in my links there, but you can see it's the smaller perlite. It's about the same granule size as pon. That's why I said you can use pon as well if you do have that transversely. So we've got that in there, about 1 inch, 1/4 inch. It doesn't really matter. As long as we got a nice little like drainage area down below, we are good to go. So what I like to do now is, like I do a nice little mix of the tree fern and the size 2 perlite. So we got a little in there. Usually this would be just straight tree fern there, but I'll show you how to mix them up and kind of the ratios that I do. It's nothing too fancy, nothing too complicated. Like I said, it's 1-to-1 or even 2-to-1 ratio. I'm just gonna kind of eyeball it. Generally, that looks like about a 1-to-1 ratio here. Let's get it mixed up and kind of visually see what that's looking like. Yeah, I'm liking the way that looks. I am liking the way that looks. Beautiful. See if I'm making a mess. I don't even care. That's why we like messing with plants, because we can make a mess. Okay, so. Bada bing, bada boom. Good, mixed up. Very nice mixture. So then I like to do about 1 inch to 2 inch layer of that. So it's going to be more than the bottom one for sure. That's what we're shooting for. I'm going to kind of show you the ratio I got here. So it's almost double, about 2 inches, 1.5 inches, inch and a half, maybe a little under 1 inch. But there you go. Kind of get an idea of how I'm setting up my pot. Next, what I'll do is I'll go pure tree fern on the top, about 1/2 inch to 1/4 inch. Make sure we get all those air pockets packed out of there. We want to make sure it's a nice, even, beautiful mixture throughout. You can see the stratification. We got all perlite mixed and all tree fern. This is my secret sauce. This is how I get those babies working. This is how I get them growing big. Yeah, because we don't gatekeep here. I'm going to show you exactly how to get those babies going right. So you can see pure tree fern, layer, pure tree fern, mixed perlite. So that's what I'm shooting for. That same kind of mixture, that same kind of ratio breakdown is what I would do inside one of these containers. So you can see this container, I have actually seedlings growing in there. And that's the ratio kind of on this one as well. See a little bit of the perlite sticking through, but there's a layer on the bottom of perlite, then a mixed, and then a pure on the top. You can see, like I said, once they start pushing the top of the lid, that's when I go ahead and get them potted up into their own seedling mix, like I showed you on the last video for seedlings and how to care for them. So that's when it's gonna go into this container in that mix. And then it'll go into your 1020 big tray. And that is how we break it down. That is how we break it down. Now, how to get them in there. I know there's so many people that are so scared, so fearful of handling their little baby anthuriums. Well, it is okay. So there it is. That's how I do it. There's all the Papa's secrets for getting those seedlings off right, getting them a head start, getting them just running right off the line, jumping ahead. If you have any questions about how I do it, any questions about what products that I use, feel free to hit up the link tree. Feel free to reach out to me. Let me know what you have. Other than that, that's all I have for the germinated seedling care. I try to make it as easy as possible. It's not super tough. It's definitely not for beginners. So I would definitely aim it more towards, okay, you have multiple larger anthuriums. Maybe you've messed with multiple 3-leaf seedlings and now you're ready for the germinated seedlings. Rock for it. That's kind of the prerequisites, I say. By then you should have a 1020 tray on hand. You should have a nice environment already. You should be doing your thing well before then. So that is what I suggest. Don't jump in, period. Make sure you're doing your research, getting everything. You already know me. I don't like any people jumping in. I don't want to see babies dying. I don't want to see anybody getting discouraged because they jumped in too soon. Make sure you're prepared, all that fun stuff. Use me as a resource. I'm here for you. Find other resources as well. Compare and contrast other ways of doing things. See what works best for you. Because I'm not the only person doing things differently. Of course, there's other people doing their thing. As I said in my soil video, there's a whole bunch of different soils. There's a bunch of different ways of doing this. So thank you guys so much for being with me. Please, please, please hang out with me on my Palm Street Lives if you would like to hang out and get more information, just the most random of information, anything you ask anthurium-wise, and I'm hitting it and just going real in depth. So just join us. You don't necessarily need to get in there and do purchases, but by all means, I got some beautiful babies. So jump in, hang out, ask questions. I'd love to have you there. The chat would love to have you with a bunch of amazing, awesome Anthurium educated individuals, Anthurium passionate individuals. So they would be happy to answer questions as well. Definitely get in, have some fun with us. We would love to have you. If you are wanting to get some seedlings of mine outside of Palm Street, I do actually offer some of my seedlings, and I'll be adding more this week. Some of my seedlings on my anthuriumpapa.com website, as well as t-shirts such as this one. Shout out as well, I will be having, or attention, I will be having a new t-shirt for all my tie-dye, non-tie-dye lovers. They want something different other than tie-dye. I feel you. I got you. I got something nice coming out for y'all. So keep an eye out for a new merch drop. Of course, you know when I do a merch drop, I'm going to do a sticker drop. So new sticker drop as well. So many good things coming. Like I said, we're going to try to keep this momentum going. The next video is going to be a botanical garden visit. Very excited. Then the following education video is going to be moving your babies out into ambient. What do you need to do? What are those prerequisites? What are the things, Papa? What are the things? Tell me. I got you. I got you. Come hang out. So I hope you enjoyed yourselves. I hope you got some good information. I hope you learned something. Check out the rest of my videos. Get in the chat. Get on Instagram. Let me know what you think of those pictures of the babies, all the information, all that fun stuff. Get in, get involved. Let me know what's up. Cool? We'll see you on the next video. Thank you again for joining me. Most importantly, keep growing forward. Okay, guys. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.